Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you first for attending this session on communication programs and graduate studies in the U.S. I'd like to welcome Jill Granager, who is Associate Director of Graduate Services at American University's Graduate School of Communication. She's going to tell us a little bit more about communication programs generally in the US, and then she may be able to answer specific questions you might have about American University's programs. I'm actually going to turn off my video and the sound, but I will be back at the end of the discussion in order to answer any questions you might have about Education USA or about studying in the US in general. So thank you, and here's Jill.
Thanks, Kevin, and welcome to all of you. It's nice that so many of you could show up today to learn a little more about graduate education in the US. So, the question that I often get is why is it important to obtain a graduate degree when you already hold a bachelor credential? And what I'll usually tell applicants is that the master's degree is really great preparation for advancing in the workplace. So typically, the master's degree is looked at as the equivalent of approximately 3 years of full time work experience in the field. So if you are coming out of a grad program, you're in a good position to move right into a more senior level position in the workplace. The graduate degree also offers you the opportunity to specialize. I know at the bachelor's level, you will often pick a double major, and at the master's level, you are forced to narrow down that focus and work more in depth on one issue area. Um, so at the master's level, um, you can get a broad range of skill sets. There are different types of degrees, so you can consider pursuing something more practical or more theoretical, depending on your desired career track. Um, it's often helpful to speak with advisors, whether that's someone at the Education USA Center or directly at your university of choice for going abroad. And in that conversation, it's important to talk a little bit about your background and why studying in the US will help you. Is that something to make you more marketable when you come back to your home country? Um, or is it something that you want to pursue in the US and then hope to find employment after? And I know with the visa regulations, it can be very confusing, and unlike some countries, if you come into the US on a student visa, you really do need to complete the entire graduate program before you can try to apply for a work visa. So the transitions are important. It's good when you're considering a study or career abroad that you think a few steps ahead. So, not just what you're doing tomorrow, but what you'll be doing in 1 year or 5 years. And again, speaking with an advisor um, at the foreign universities is always a good idea. Most universities will have an international student office, and that's a great first point of contact. Alternatively, you can go directly to your department of interest, and someone there, whether it's an enrollment specialist or a graduate assistant, will. Sorry, I'm getting a message that people can't hear me. Okay, can people hear me now? Okay, wonderful. So I was just talking about connecting with representatives at the U.S. universities. Something that universities in the U.S. are known for is their accessibility, and so we at all the graduate institutions have several personnel that can help you and kind of walk you through the application process. What copies of leaving certificates, degree certifications do you need? How many letters of recommendation? Can they be sent electronically, or can they do they have to come hard copy? What should be in a resume? Um, I meet every day with, probably at least two or three prospective students. And oftentimes, what I listen to is where someone wants to go with the degree. So I work right now in the School of Communication, and we offer degrees in film, journalism, strategic communication, new media focuses, digital skills, and social media. And so it's hard for some people to navigate what exactly each of those degrees entails, and what would each of those make you um, suitable to do after graduation. Communication is often viewed as an academic discipline, but also a professional field. And so you would be well suited after graduating for working at a nonprofit, a for profit, an international organization, um, or in an educational institution. And that is because in this day and age, communication skills are really highly valued across the board. So if you're coming to the table already with a great interest in international affairs or political science, and you want to be able to communicate that, so define who your target audience is, develop a strategic message to reach that group, maybe a degree in strategic communication is right for you. If you want to work at an organization and manage all the online publications, potentially a degree in journalism would be suitable for you. And really, a journalism degree is teaching you not only how to write a strong story, but also how to manage content, whether it's audio or video, and building a website from the ground up, and learning what makes an effective website, and then also interacting with media. Um, and as the world just it's increasingly there's more technology, and so someone starting out from undergrad or from a grad degree is really expected to know about online media, social media, and be able to take on leadership positions within those fields. Because some people who graduated years ago feel that they're not as social media savvy, whereas the younger cohort of students um, coming out with more experience on online social networking sites like Facebook um, and LinkedIn, um, Contactia. So with that experience, um, you are already doing it in your personal life, and so you can really harness those skills in the professional world as well. And so that is something, social media, that kind of bridges all of the communication fields that we offer at American University, but also that are offered around the world. So that would be kind of a journalism focus. If you do have a strong interest in international media, international communication, um, that's another interesting area that you can pursue. Um, International communication um, may be the more theoretical degree to look at, and that is a combination of intercultural and cross-cultural communication. And you're really, um, with that type of degree, you're looking at how to do something like develop a multinational team at the micro level, and at the macro level, learn how to negotiate a treaty between um, trading partners, national trading partners, or regional trading blocks. So, I mean, that is also something that international applicants are very excited about, and that would be slightly more academic. Someone who wants a more practical degree could do something in international media, where um, you would get the theoretical skill sets of international communication, but then also some of the practical hands-on skills. And so as you are looking at different universities, you can get a sense by the type of curriculum that's offered whether there will be a more professional focus or an academic focus. If you imagine yourself going on for professional employment, you may wish to go to a more professional degree program. Usually, professional degree programs are 1 year in length as opposed to two, and very skills based. The faculty that you take coursework with will hold a number of awards and will often still be active the um, in the world of communication. So they may, teaching may be something that they do on the side, in addition to significant work in the field. If you're looking for more of an academic focus, if you think maybe you'd like to go on to do a doctoral degree or you'd like to conduct policy analysis, you may wish to go for a more academic program. In terms of the requirements to graduate, a professional focused master's program will probably require that you complete a comprehensive exam and then some kind of master's project seminar. Whereas the academic focus will often require that you complete not only the comprehensive exam, but also a significant research project or a thesis. So it will be a larger academic undertaking to complete the program. The professional focus degrees may let you build a website from the ground up and conduct some analysis on the success of that. Or it may allow for you to create a film if you're in the film department, or some other type of um, research, but then also combined with practice. So looking a little more carefully at the degrees offered in journalism, in the United States, top programs in journalism are accredited by the accrediting body ACE-JMC, which is the Accrediting Council for Education in Journalism and Mass Communication. University programs are also accredited regionally. And so it's good to look for these accreditations because it shows that a university has experienced faculty, established programs, and are really able to give students the holistic experience. And so then in the journalism degree, you often have a choice between the MA, the Master of Arts, or the Master of Science in journalism. And usually the Master of Science is a little bit more technical. Maybe there would be some additional component of quantitative analysis or business involved in that program. A lot of universities are offering degrees now which allow you to focus specifically on interactive journalism, online journalism. That is something more and more you're finding that when people go to work for news outlets, they will not necessarily be writing for paper editions. And so anything that does have a paper appearance will probably also have an electronic web presence as well. The MA in Media Management is another degree to consider. And that would be for someone who wants to go on and head a communication department and looking at kind of a broader sense of the skill sets available in the field of journalism and strategic communication and film, and also getting some of the business side as well to prepare you to head a communication department. Maybe you wouldn't be the person writing a press release or writing the news story, or managing or writing the newsletter that comes out weekly or biweekly, but you would be managing a team of people that do. And so a media management degree would prepare you to critique the work of others and also give you some of that management training. If we look at the film degrees, a lot of schools around the US allow students to focus in either documentary or dramatic production. Washington, D.C. is probably best known for the focus on documentary production. And if you're going to New York or California, there's probably more of a focus on dramatic production. In order to determine what the top programs are, SELECT is an international organization that has ranked the top programs in the US, and only the top 15 schools are admitted to that group. So that would be one good point of reference. Also, Hollywood Reporter will often rank graduate programs in film. The nice thing about a film degree is that it is a good blend of theory and practice. On the practice side, students will learn to make films, edit. Core coursework usually is in writing for visual media, producing for film and video, seminars in film theory, and then the hands-on skill sets. Learning things like Final Cut Pro, DVD Studio Pro, motion graphics, just to name a few. And typically, academic institutions that offer film degrees will have a studio on site, as well as individual editing suites for students to use and equipment in the department. So that's another route if you are pursuing the film. Moving on to strategic communication, that's kind of a broad heading that includes not just strategic communication, but issues advocacy, coalition building, PR, and marketing. And so it's also interesting to look if some of the courses that you take in a communication program are cross-listed. So if it's just in the School of Communication, or if maybe some of the courses are in the business department, and you could see there might be more of a marketing focus. In the US, again, the accrediting body for communication is the ACE-JMC, and the Public Relations Society of America, PRSA, also does rankings of programs. And it's really important to look for these accreditations because then you know that you are getting a solid foundation in the field in addition to the skill sets. So in a strategic communication program, you should be learning the principles of strategic communication, theory, research methods for conducting your own studies, whether it's a focus group or looking doing survey research and tabulating those results and making that data work for you. And again, keeping in mind that a strategic communication degree or communication studies, however it's termed, is often a very flexible degree. So if you have an interest in international, political, economic communication, science, health, internet advocacy communication, any of these areas, you will likely be able to focus on in a general communication program. And at the graduate level, it is encouraged that a student in a particular department, say the communication school, who would like to learn more about political communication, political science, could reach out to one of those faculty members in the School of Political Affairs and see if potentially they could take an elective course over there or just informally work with that faculty member in an independent study. That is something nice at the graduate level in the US is that there are a lot of choices and opportunities for graduate students to really tailor a degree to make it what they want. So I already talked a little bit before about the international media degree. Since this is a group in Eastern Europe that I'm speaking with, I assume there will be a lot of interest in this field of inquiry. And we've had, talking now about the School of Communication, we do offer both of these degrees. And a number of our alums have gone on to work internationally, to work on USAID projects here in the US as advisors. And so for all of the degrees that I've mentioned so far, the career trajectories of our students are very impressive. And the connections that faculty have also determine the strength of a program. So if you're looking at a faculty member who has worked at 4 or 5 different top institutions over their span of their career, chances are they still have contacts there. And they are very willing to share those contacts with their students. So specialty degrees, we see more and more in the US degree programs that have brought about interdisciplinary study. So for example, an MA in political communication has students taking potentially half their courses in political science and half their courses in communication. And this is a model that a lot of universities have employed because there is a real interest in bridging some of those gaps. So it's in between the disciplines where when that specialization occurs, that really makes for good candidates for positions in kind of a nexus of those areas. So if you do come with good theoretical background and you want to build on that at the master's level, doing an interdisciplinary program can give you the benefit of the 2 different networks. So the network of the home school that you've applied to, but also the network of the partner school that's offering coursework for your program. And then in the US, the PhD in communication is offered. It's the highest level of study in the field. So with that degree, you can teach at the university level. At American University, we offer an intense interdisciplinary 3-year program in communication. But typically, a PhD program could be anywhere from 3 years to 7 years and involves a good amount of coursework that you have to take prerequisites before you can actually start writing the dissertation. So just to give you kind of a broader understanding, many universities will offer something called the MA/PhD, and that would be something for an applicant who has completed the bachelor's degree and wants to pursue both the master's degree and the PhD in sequence at the same university. So that would be one route. And on the way to getting the PhD, once you complete all the requirements of the master's, you would also get the master's degree. Other programs require that you enter the program already holding a master's degree and that you go directly into the doctoral level study. We at American University, for communication, we do require that applicants come in with a master's. And the first year and a half approximately would be coursework before writing the dissertation. This is also very different than in Europe. So the incoming students to a doctoral program would need to take the first year of research methods and theory courses. In the second or third year, there would be comprehensive exams and a defense, an oral defense of the dissertation proposal, and all of this before it's possible to start writing the dissertation. On to the next slide. Something else that many universities are offering would be graduate certificate programs. Some of these programs are entirely online, so they would be something you could do without moving to the US. And unfortunately, if you did want to move to the US for one of these graduate certificates, it likely would not be possible because it would not be possible to offer an immigration document. And of course, on to the financial questions. Typically, at most universities, merit awards or scholarships are available to full-time students, and it's based on the entire application file. But kind of that first hurdle would be looking at the graduate, the undergraduate grades and the test scores. And so this is another point of interest. In order to be accepted to communication graduate programs and most social science graduate degrees, applicants are required to take the GRE, which is the Graduate Record Exam. And that's an exam that's composed of three parts. The first is verbal, the second is quantitative, and the third is analytical. And it's a several-hour test, and those scores are transmitted to the academic institution, and that is considered a big part of the admit criteria. Also, for international applicants who have not completed their bachelor's at an English-speaking university in the US, Great Britain, or Australia, will have to submit TOEFL scores as well. There are several other tests that are generally accepted in the US. That would be the IELTS, IELTS, or the Pearson Test of English. And for those scores, they are only valid for 2 years. For the GRE that I mentioned before, those scores are valid for 5 years. So if you are considering education in the US, it's important to sign up for these tests early on in the application process. So if you plan to come for fall 2014 to the US, you should already in summer 2013 or at the latest October, November 2013 plan to take these exams. And going back now to the merit-based aid, typically university application deadlines will be anywhere between December 15th and February 1st. Each academic institution has different deadlines, and you have to be careful to make sure that everything is submitted in the proper format. Typically, schools will ask for an application fee as well and have online application materials. As a little tip for all of you, if you are very serious about a school, you may wish to write to the admission office of that school and say, you know, you are applying from abroad, you're very excited, but the application fee is a bit high. So it is an option to write to the school and ask for an application fee waiver. You can say that maybe with the credit card information, you'd prefer not to if possible. So that's just a little tip because I know it is expensive to apply for graduate school. Merit awards, usually decisions are made in spring, sometime between February and March, to let applicants know if they have been selected for scholarships from the department. The Council of Graduate Schools here in the US has really set April 15th as the first deadline to get all information for international and domestic students to respond back to offers of admission. And so keeping that April 15th date in mind, chances are if you've applied to a school, you will know with about a month ahead of that whether you've been admitted. And then starts the process of applying for an immigration document, which is also time consuming. A good place to go would be the International Student Office website for each university that you're considering. And there will be cost guides In order to apply for an immigration document, you will need to fill out particular paperwork to request that document and also show proof of access to enough funding to support your 1 year of study in the US. So at American University right now, that total is about $55,000 for the year. The tuition may be close to about $40,000 for American University. Other schools are less expensive, and so they would then have a different amount of money that applicants would need to show proof of access to. And just to continue on the immigration document piece, once the academic institution has your request for the immigration document and the proof of funds, the university would issue the immigration document to you that you would then take to the US Embassy in your country, and then you would get a visa to come here for the duration of the study program. As I said in the beginning of the presentation, it's often good to think about long-term goals. And so after completing a master's in the US, international students are eligible to apply for 1 year of optional practical training. So that means that for 1 year after the program, it's easier to extend your stay if you find a potential job. You would need to have proof that a position was found, but it could be more of an internship without pay or a job that's paid. And then after that, after the 1 year of optional practical training, the next hurdle would be to apply for an H-1B work visa. And that is a more difficult process, and the International Student Office at your future university would be able to help you with that. So for incoming students who are receiving merit awards, they usually come in several different ways. So an assistantship could offer a certain stipend that's given out at particular periods, maybe monthly, maybe biweekly, plus some tuition credits. So tuition credits that you would not have to pay for. Often this is called tuition remission. Another option of an award could be a teaching or research assistantship, where you would have to work 10 to 20 hours per week during the fall and spring semesters to earn a stipend. And that would again be paid biweekly or monthly. So that's basically an overview of what you can expect from education in the US. I've given some specific examples for communication, but I am happy to answer questions about any area of graduate study in the US. I've been in the School of Communication at American University for about 9 years. I'm also an alum. I completed the International Communication program some years ago, and I really believe that American University has a lot to offer. But I also think pursuing graduate education in the US is very worthwhile, no matter which institution you choose. And I guess keep in mind it's very important to ask all of the questions that you have. Approach people in the admission office of your target universities, and I guarantee that they will be very happy to speak with you and want to give you all that information that they have and help you keep in mind application deadlines for merit awards and for admission. And it's helpful to have someone that can guide you through the immigration process as well. So again, thank you so much for coming, and I'm happy to answer any questions now.